Hi, good evening. Welcome along to the Transfer Show. Loads coming up. News of players in great demand and others whose clubs are making it quite clear they're surplus to requirements. Well, the indispensable Michael Bridge is here to run us through the details. Benjamin Sesko landed in the UK yesterday. So where are we with his move to Manchester United? We're live to their training ground for the very latest. What about the outgoings at United? Alejandro Garnacho's future remains unclear. We'll tell you which Premier League club wants him. And Arne Slot has revealed what he thinks the future holds for Darwin Núñez. So what does it mean for Liverpool's pursuit of Alexander Isak? We're live to Newcastle. Right, we're a minute in. We've already got breaking news. Michael, what have you got?
And this is how we like to start transfer shows, with transfer breaking news, and it involves Burnley, and Armando Broja has joined Burnley from Chelsea in a deal worth up to £15 million. Now, we understand Burnley are paying £10 million as a fixed fee, plus a potential £5 million in add-ons. So Armando Broja has gone to Burnley.
Done. All right, let's stay with strikers. Let's go to Manchester United. We know they want Benjamin Sesko. Where have they got with it? Let's ask Dan Khan, who's there. Come on then, Dan. Where are we?
Yeah, good evening, Mike. I mean, as you said there, yesterday was a huge day in this deal. Manchester United agreeing a fee with RB Leipzig, just over £73 million for Sesko. As you mentioned there, he then travelled to the UK yesterday evening. We brought you those pictures on Sky Sports News, and then today we understand he's been in Manchester undergoing his medical. I'll just give you a bit of insight though, Mike. I've actually been in the training ground today to have a look at Manchester United's new £50 million men's building facility that they've revamped over the last 12 months. Didn't see Sesko around, I have to say, even though they have some brand new spanking medical facilities. Can tell you wasn't there, so maybe I did miss him, but we understand Benjamin Sesko is undergoing his medical today. And I think if you're a United, you're really hoping this deal can happen in the next 24 hours. He'll be hoping to get a signature on those papers to finalise the move. And I think if you're United, you're hoping that they get into a position they can unveil him potentially tomorrow when they take on Fiorentina at Old Trafford and their last pre-season game ahead of the opener against Arsenal next weekend.
OK, Dan, we've spoken a lot in this window about the players that need or perhaps will go out of Manchester United. What's the latest on that situation?
Yeah, look, with one striker looking like they're coming in, Mike, there's probably a lot of questions over another, and that's Rasmus Højlund. But again, I have to say, when they reopened this training facility, so Jim Radcliffe, Sir Alex Ferguson were all in attendance, as was Ruben Amorim and the first team squad. That included the likes of Rasmus Højlund, who has been linked with a move away since Sesko's impending arrival. We know the Italian giants AC Milan are potentially interested in Højlund, and Manchester United may consider offers around the £40 million mark for Højlund. But let's not forget, he's been adamant he wants his future to be here at Carrington, at Old Trafford. Despite just scoring 4 goals in the Premier League last year, he was better in Europe. But look, we'll have to see where his future lies. Alejandro Garnacho, another player, let me just tell you, he wasn't with the squad. Ruben Amorim has been pretty adamant he's not part of his plans going forward. He talked about he needs new leadership. As I said, he wasn't with the first team today on that ribbon cutting with Sir Jim Radcliffe. And really, we know Chelsea very interested in Garnacho. They were in January, again this summer. Although he doesn't have a future at Old Trafford, could that be a Chelsea? Well, Manchester United value him at around 50 million.
So we have no idea what they value him at, but that was Dan Khan. Sadly, we've lost that. But we've got the general gist about United and Garnacho. Let's get the story of Chelsea's pursuit of the midfielder. Rob Jones is at Stamford Bridge and can bring us the very latest. Hi, Rob. Are Chelsea confident they'll get the player?
They're confident they'll get the player, and also confident they will get him underneath, and quite a decent chunk underneath that £50 million mark that Dan was just speaking about. And because of some of the things that he's just alluded to whilst talking about Alejandro Garnacho, and in particular the fact that Ruben Amorim has made it very clear that he's not part of Manchester United's plans moving forward, you'd say that that is a decent thing that Chelsea are able to bargain with, that they can be quite relaxed about this and leave it later and later into the window, because they will know that Manchester United have a player that they want to get off their books. They don't want to keep paying his wages. So the closer that Chelsea can leave it until that September the 1st deadline, the further down from £50 million you would think that they might be able to buy him for. Xavi Simons is another player on the Chelsea wish list. You would say that one isn't particularly imminent either. He's part of an RB Leipzig squad that are playing Lens in a pre-season friendly tomorrow. But on the other side, Chelsea also need to make sales. You might remember at the start of last month, fined just over €30 million by UEFA for failing to comply with their rules, with the threat of a further potential €60 million fine if they don't sell players. And there is a lot of fat, you would say, that is there to be trimmed for Chelsea. As Michael just said, one of the players that's just been confirmed as leaving is Armando Broja off to Burnley, and there are others that spent parts or all of last season on loan that you would think are happily Chelsea will let go, the likes of Ben Chilwell, Raheem Sterling, Axel Disasi, Kiernan Dewsbury Hall has gone to Everton earlier this week as well. So there's a bit of work for Chelsea to do for outgoings as well as the couple that they're looking to bring in.
Yeah, are they going to have to bring in more than a couple now that Levi Colwill is injured and going to be injured for some time?
We understand that that's not Chelsea's thinking at the moment, and it is one area where they're blessed with a decent number of options at centre-half. He did say yesterday just how difficult it will be, Enzo Maresca, to replace Levi Colwill, someone who played 35 Premier League games for the club last season. They do have Wesley Fofana coming back. Enzo Maresca has confirmed he won't play in either of the pre-season friendlies against Bayer Leverkusen or AC Milan, but he might be available for the first league game against Crystal Palace next week. He's only played 2 games for Chelsea in 2025, and his whole time actually since arriving from Leicester has been blighted by injury, so he's an option. He spoke about one of the other summer signings, Jarell Hato, yesterday, and saying he's more mature than his age, only 19 but more than 100 first team appearances for him. There is Benoit Badiashile, there's Tosin as well. You can play Marc Cucurella as a centre-back should you need to, so there are options in that part of the field for Enzo Maresca, albeit he has lost a big player in Levi Colwill. And the big question, I guess, for that game against Palace and moving forward is what sort of shape Chelsea will be in. They've only had 3 weeks off since becoming world champions in America, and this return to training, which has seen Colwill get injured, we will see how they start the Premier League season. And I actually think what will be even more interesting is later on in the campaign how those Chelsea legs hold up, particularly with a return to Champions League football just around the corner as well.
Indeed. Rob Jones, live from Stamford Bridge. Thank you, Rob. Well, from London to Liverpool, where Arne Slot has admitted that Darwin Núñez could leave Anfield. The club have agreed a deal worth almost £57 million with Al Hilal.
I can talk to you about Hugo, which we've signed recently and has done really well till now. We are very happy with the squad we are having. And there's every reason to be happy about that because we won the league last season. Okay, players left, but we've brought players in as well. And youngsters are doing good. So at this moment of time, Darwin might leave indeed, but things are not signed yet. So you need to wait maybe a few days before that's completely. There is indeed a chance that he's going to leave.
Darwin Núñez, he said, a chance he's going. Are they clearing the decks for Alexander Isak?
Well, what we do know is that Liverpool are in the market for attacking players, and we also know that they've made a bid for Alexander Isak, which was rejected. But what we also know is from Newcastle's stance is they're not doing any business with anyone, Liverpool or anyone, until they have replacements in the door, which we thought maybe would be Benjamin Sesko. Didn't happen, so Newcastle were looking at other targets. So this isn't going to go away. But when we understand that Liverpool are looking at attacking options, if there's other ones apart from Isak, we will wait and see. But do a club walk away when they put that much money in, that big bid into one player? Do they walk away after one failed bid? Not so sure.
No, indeed. Is there a danger for Liverpool that Arne Slot could just have if he brings in Isak, he's just got all his toys at once, and he might actually make changes when he doesn't need to because they won the league so easily last season? Well,
some families let kids open presents before Christmas morning, don't they? And I think, on the opening day of the season, Arne Slot's going to have a lot of new players. They've already got, it's already going to be a new look Liverpool side anyway. But the key for me, this what he starts the season with and what he starts post-deadline day with. And so many clubs need to do plenty of business. There'll be some clubs who are going into next week thinking, do you know what? We're not too bad. And that's one of them.
Yeah, indeed. All right, well, Nunes, will he be a player when the Premier League starts? Will he be a Liverpool player when the Premier League starts? Liverpool get their title defence started a week today at home against Bournemouth. Coverage starts 7 o'clock live on Sky Sports Premier League. Quick line to bring you from the Emirates. Ethan Nwaneri has signed a new deal with the club. Now, we understand the 18-year-old has signed a 5-year contract. His previous deal was going to expire next summer. Well, he made 37 appearances and scored 9 goals in all competitions in what was a breakthrough campaign at Arsenal last season. Well, Arsenal, part of the blockbuster first Super Sunday of the new Premier League, they face Manchester United. We'll be live from Old Trafford, 4 o'clock, August 17th, Sky Sports Premier League. Right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, news of some Manchester City players, one of which is a certain Super Jackie Grealish. See you in a moment. Right, so much going on at the moment. Let's just whiz you through some transfer lines. Manchester City, did we get some insight today of the players who are surplus to requirements?
I think so, because Manchester City, of course, this is a different situation. They've had the Club World Cup. They're in their mini pre-season now. They travelled to Italy, to Palermo, for their pre-season friendly. 3 players left out: Stefan Ortega, James McAtee and Jack Grealish. Now, we know Stefan Ortega, we understand, will be looking at other clubs because of James Trafford's arrival. There's plenty of interest in James McAtee. And, of course, we've spoken day after day about Jack Grealish. Now, some nice training shots the other day, weren't there, with Jack? Oh, there, as I say it, there he is. He got a very nice ovation when the fans came out, but, excuse me, but it didn't seem to matter because it looks as if his future will be elsewhere. He was training with the first team, as you can see, with Pep Guardiola on Wednesday, but he is not part of the squad that travels to Palermo tomorrow.
Yeah, I feel a bit sad for him. Let's talk about his former club, Aston Villa. They're getting busy today.
They are. They've signed Ivan Guisson, the forward, now very, 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 very highly regarded. He can play on the left-hand side. He can play up front as well. Now, that's expected to cost an initial £23.5 million, rising to £28 million. He's only 24, so that's a good signing for Aston Villa. More good news for them as well. Well, potentially for them, they've offered Jacob Ramsey a new contract. He's got 2 years left on his current deal and has been subject to transfer speculation this summer.
All right, I'm being told we can go and speak to our reporter Keith Downey at Newcastle because, of course, we want to talk Alexander Isak. There is Keith. Keith, is Isak still on the naughty step?
Yeah, Mike, sorry, busy. I know it looks quiet here at St James's Park, but it's been a while since I'm here, so catching up with people. So that's why maybe you couldn't quite get me earlier. Is Isak still in the naughty step? I think he probably will be for some while. Will he play for Newcastle United again? I think there's a huge question mark over that. Newcastle, of course, said that, stressed that they will not allow him to leave until they get an adequate replacement. They thought that Benjamin Sesko was that man, which is why they made such a big offer to RB Leipzig for his services. 80 million euros plus add-ons, but of course that was not so much turned down. It was accepted by the club, but turned down by the player, who of course travelled to Manchester instead to finalise a move to Manchester United. So look, I think if Newcastle had managed to get Sesko in, it would have allowed Alexander Isak to leave. But of course, without that replacement in, it leaves them struggling a little bit with just over 3 weeks of the transfer window to go. Look, I'm not expecting Isak to play tonight against Espanyol, nor either tomorrow against Atletico Madrid. And as I touched on earlier, I think there's a big question mark over whether he plays for Newcastle United again. And I think it was really noticeable the other day in midweek when Eddie Howe arranged a team bonding session. All the squads were invited, all their families, the partners, children, all invited to that after training on Wednesday afternoon. Everyone invited apart from Alexander Isak, which I think was telling of the situation. And it was a really interesting moment, the juxtaposition of Isak arriving just as the rest of the players were leaving from that team bonding session. I think kind of told the story to that, Mike. So look, it's not the last we've heard of it. We still need Liverpool to come to the table with another bid, but I think if they do and they raise their bid from the last one, coupled with Newcastle having a replacement in, there is a real chance Alexander Isak can go before the end of the transfer window.
Keith, give us an idea of how Newcastle fans are reacting to the window the club's having.
Yeah, look, Mike, I think they're pretty frustrated, very frustrated, actually. I can see them on social media bumping into a lot of the Newcastle United fans in the street, and this was the window where they were supposed to strengthen. They just won their first trophy in 70 years. They had Champions League to come. They'd held back in the last couple of transfer windows to ensure that this was the transfer window where they had a real go. And they were hoping to bring in a right winger, a central defender, a central midfielder and a striker. But the transfer window has been dominated by the Alexander Isak situation and the fact that he is still here at the club and hasn't moved on to Liverpool yet. So you speak to any Newcastle Newcastle United supporter, and this was the window they wanted to strengthen. They were excited about. It's not gone that way, and I think for them it's difficult because they probably feel they're a bit of a laughing stock at the moment, because you look at the players who they've missed out on, and there's a number of them now they've just been pipped at the post by the likes of Chelsea or Manchester United or Liverpool. And I think the two that probably hurt the most are Sesko to Manchester United, because Newcastle got right down to the end, and also Ekitike to Liverpool, because it's a player they've tried to sign twice now. And for them, it's just really disappointing that they're here with just 3 weeks of the window to go and they still need to sign 4 players. And it feels as though the options to replace Alexander Isak are getting less and less. So it's not what they wanted. However, the positive in all this is there is still money for them to spend in this transfer window. And if they can manage to get 3 or 4 players in between now and the closure of the transfer window at the end of August, it gives them hope and something to look forward to for the season. And you know what it's like with football fans, they're happy if they're signing players. So Eddie Howe and his recruitment staff here will be working so busy behind the scenes to try and bring in those faces to give them a fighting chance this season. Because remember, it's not just the Premier League, but they've also got the Champions League to contend with first. But before then, a couple of pre-season friendlies to dust off the cobwebs ahead of the new season. Espanyol tonight here at St James's Park, Atletico Madrid tomorrow. I expect Eddie Howe to switch it up and give all his players, his first team players, as many minutes as possible.
Are they going to get Johan Wissa?
Look, I think there's a chance. I think they've been chatting for a while. His agents, I can tell you, are actually in the UK at the moment trying to get that deal pushed through. It's a player that they would really like to bring to the football club. He scored a lot of goals in the Premier League last season, 19, and I think he would definitely add something here. Look, Brentford have made it clear that they will not let him go until they've got a replacement in, so that's making the whole situation quite protracted. But if you're asking me, will they get it done or will they not? I think it's a transfer that Newcastle will get done. The player's made it clear he wants to move here. He wants to play Champions League football, and I think for Eddie Howe it would be a safe signing. He's 28 years old. He's got experience in the Premier League, and he'd be a great replacement for Callum Wilson, who's left. He's not going to demand to start every single game, but I think he'd be a really good squad player for Eddie Howe. So I feel it's inching closer, but it's been a very, very difficult deal to do because Brentford have been digging their heels in due to the fact they've lost a number of players and, of course, their manager as well this summer.
Keith Downey, live from St James's Park. Thank you, Keith. Right, let's go from Newcastle to Sunderland. Tell us what they've been up to today.
Hey, Keith, can you tell us? Oh, I'll do it. I'll do it, Keith. Don't worry. Sunderland have agreed a deal to sign Arthur Masuaku. Now, we'll know him from his time at West Ham United. He's left Besiktas as a free agent. He's a 31-year-old, and he's going to travel to the northeast later today. So Keith might see him, you never know, to undergo a medical.
Right, let's go to the other end of the country.
Yeah.
Is Tyler Dibbling going to leave Southampton?
Well, now, he's not playing against Wrexham for Southampton tomorrow, which is a potential indicator, but of course Will still hasn't been training with him. The manager's been alongside him. So look, now he's not going to be part of the opening game. We know that Everton made a bid. It's not been accepted. Now Will still has said there are a few players who are where they're in their career are making choices. Tyler won't be there, so he won't be there against Wrexham. Will he be there come the end of the deadline? We'll wait. He's a very, very good player, but it's quite a bit of money, so we'll wait and see. All
right, let's talk Crystal Palace. I know you're a bit of an expert there. Are they going to hang on with Eberetz? Are they going to hang on to Eberetz Eze?
I'd probably say 50-50 because Arsenal would still like to sign him. There was Spurs liked him, but I don't know if there's any renewed interest in there. But Oliver Glasner wants players in. He doesn't want anybody out anymore. So it would be a massive disappointment for Oliver Glasner. It's a wait and see. We will wait and see. Obviously, it's a massive day/night for Crystal Palace in terms of the ruling on what European competition they're going to play in, and obviously Carve's there to give us that breaking news you've heard from Steve Parrish.
Is that going to be a deal breaker for players to go to Palace, given it's not a deal breaker for players to go to Man United?
Do you know what? Well, look, financially, being in the Europa League is better for Crystal Palace when the accounts open up. I said it to a Crystal Palace fan the other day. Go and win the Conference League. Go and win it.
Yeah.
There are more established sides in the Europa League, I get it, and they feel like they deserve to be in the Europa League. But Oliver Glasner has won the Europa League, so I'm sure when if they go into this Conference League, if they do lose this appeal with CAS, they will give this a real go, and I can see them getting into the latter stages. I want to flip it into a positive, Mike.
which is Michael Bridge to a T. Michael, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. So much to talk about. We are back at 7 o'clock with a transfer show. Much more to talk about in that programme. Of course, an hour-long transfer news show. When we come back, the Championship is back. Birmingham against Ipswich tonight. We are live to St Andrews next. See you in a moment.